Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to North Shore Live Cooper's Corner. We're live this evening. This is March the 11th, 2015. Beautiful day today. I think we are entitled after a horrific winter that we've had, and that there's no longer snow to really make that much of a difference anymore. That's good. Anyway, I still don't trust the weatherman. I come prepared. It could happen anything in Illinois, and we've seen that to be true. This evening's program, we are live, of course, and this evening's program, we are very happy and pleased that we have NAMI of Lake County on. That's the National Alliance of the Mentally Ill, and this is for the Lake County. We are going to do this program in two sections, with our guests. We have four guests this evening. Our first two guests are Mary Jopie and Gregory Fields for the first half of the program, and then John Fallon and Fred Henry will be the second portion, and we're going to get a lot of information that perhaps you were unaware of, and education that we can build on for to build the strengths for parents and those that suffer from mental illness, and all those out there who would like to know just what it is that these people that have this illness suffer from. I'm sure you're aware, I've been saying this for more than 30 years. We ourselves have a daughter that's going to be 42 years old who was born mentally ill. Yes, born. I'm the parent. We have 7 children. I can tell you that there was no way she could learn how to do this. This is my daughter's reaction to, unfortunately, the illness that she was born with. It was treacherous and still is. So without any further ado, and I seem to be a little bit of an expert of that, let me please introduce you my guest. And to my direct left is Mary Jopie, and to Mary's direct left happens to be Gregory Fields. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I hope that you enjoy the weather.
It's been beautiful.
It is beautiful. It's not exactly Hawaii. We don't have palm trees, but the weather is getting there. Still not convinced that there isn't going to be some kind of a rush storm, so I wear my boots just in case, not taking any chances. Anyway, this evening's program is going to be very informational, I hope. And Mary, with your guidance, you can certainly steer us to the information that we need to know about the NAMI of Lake County.
Okay, so I guess probably to start with, who is NAMI Lake County? NAMI Lake County is the National Alliance for Mental Illness, and it started out as a small group of families around a kitchen table in 1979, and it's now the leading voice on mental illness for the nation. It's an association of hundreds of affiliates, state organizations, volunteers, and they all rally around to raise awareness and provide support and education to people who are not sure what to do. What do? We educate by providing services, classes. We train people to teach those classes, and we listen. Not every situation is different. Each person comes to the table with their own situation, and some things work and other things don't. So we simply listen, and then we guide and give resources so that they have more understanding. We also lead on a national level public awareness through our Mental Health Awareness Week. And through NAMI walks, help reduce stigma and raise awareness with mental illness.
So the walks that the organization gets together to participate in. It's like the breast cancer awareness.
Exactly.
Okay, do we have any colors? I mean, breast cancer has pink for the women, but does NAMI have any colors that we're kind of sporting?
The colors of NAMI are blue and yellow.
Okay, so we'll all be
yeah.
Swedish. That's all right. I have no problem with that. Not a problem.
Yeah.
So, Gregory, have
Yes.
you found are you on one of the board of directors, or are you on a?
I'm on the board, yes.
Okay, have you found being on the board that you have the ability to get your point across to others?
Well, that's interesting because originally I approached the board with interest of becoming a board member, and I went to a few board meetings, and I thought to myself, there's got to be something more I could do to be more of a service. So I made this suggestion that I teach a class to some of the consumers. So it was a little over 2 years ago I started teaching the Healthy Living Skills class, which is not an official NAMI class, but it's supported by NAMI. So I, as opposed to joining the board, I felt that I would be much more useful in that way. But then it's only been a few months that I've actually been a board member.
When you say teach a class, the viewers that are out there watching this want to know, where do they go? How do they contact you? Maybe they would like to tell their story. So can you give us that information? Where are these classes taught?
Well, there's several different classes. We have one class for family members of persons with mental illness. We have another series of classes which is peer-to-peer, so it's for a consumer with a consumer. And then there's basics, NAMI Basics, which is a basic education class. I think it's 12 weeks. Currently, Mary and sorry. Mary and myself are currently facilitating the Family to Family, which started 2 weeks ago. And there is still open availability if anyone is interested.
Is there a charge for this?
No, there's no charge. It's
Okay,
a 12-week course. And basically what we do is try and educate people on how to live more effectively with their loved one with mental illness.
And what if they can't? What if there is a problem that the consumer has that is predisposed so that family living is not
That's part of the
available.
discussion. We delve into many different problems and the processes we go through to develop solutions for these problems. And the group collectively will bring up a situation and we'll get input from other people in the group on how to maybe approach the situation.
Now, how many are in the group that you teach?
I personally teach the Healthy Living Skills group, which
How many would that be?
There's up to 40 people a week in there.
Really? And they they come to the classroom, or they come there and...
It's at a day program, so it's a recovery center, and they're there for other activities during the day, and they sit with me once a week for an hour. And
Is that here in Lake County?
That's at the health department, yes. It's at the New Life Recovery Center, which is 3004 Grand Avenue in Waukegan.
Okay. So, do they have to call you first, or
No,
pre-register, or
they show
can
up,
they just drop in and say, you know, I didn't want to do it, but I'm here. I need to talk to somebody about my
that's one
family member who's ill.
That's one of the, no, this is for the person,
the person.
consumer.
Okay,
The
the
family
consumer.
to family would
Yeah.
be for the family members that need to talk.
Okay. Okay.
So my class is about how to develop good communication skills, good budgeting skills, good skills that are necessary to navigate their way through life with a mental illness.
And you have 40 people that show up?
Usually about 40 a week.
That's outstanding. That's outstanding,
They
really.
clap when I come in.
Yeah, you better believe it. I'd clap when you come in, too. That's terrific. Mary, so if Greg does this, what position do you play then on the board?
I'm the president.
Okay.
And what drives me is that I was elected by 2 consumers. So when times get tough, I remember that. So the consumers drive me.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just navigate and look for different opportunities, look for new volunteers, and try and coordinate things so that people get trained and that we forward and grow our chapters so that we offer more and more classes.
So the benefits they get out of this is they're learning from you, Greg, how to get along, how to survive.
The person with the mental illness is learning how to deal with daily tasks of living. Their family members are learning how to live with the person with the mental illness, and other family members can learn as well. And so it takes the whole community for people to get better.
Now, is there like a graduation point? You go from one step to another?
For the family to family, it's a 12-week course, and there is a graduation at the end of 12 weeks, and the participants receive a certificate saying that they completed it. And during those 12 weeks, they'll learn a lot of information about medication, mental illness, symptoms.
Yes. That's something also I wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah, it's a 12-week course that discusses different topics that a loved one would need in order to deal with their family member who has a mental illness.
Do you ask, are they on meds? Number one question, do you ask if they're on meds? Number two question, do you ask, are they taking it? Because a number of consumers, they may be on meds, prescribed, but they say, I feel great and I'm not going to take them anymore. Then what do you do?
We try to help and work with anyone that's possibly affected by a loved one with a mental illness. So we have people that we have family members of loved ones that don't even have a diagnosis. They're just behaving in odd and unusual ways, and it's been going on for years, and they refuse to see a doctor, refuse to get a diagnosis, refuse to take medication, and the parents, it's usually the parents, don't know what to do. I mean, they're left out of the instructions.
How can you step in? I mean, they are of age, so how do you get
Well, everyone's an individual, but usually the principles of motivational interviewing and talking to your loved one in a way that's going to increase their own motivation towards change. Change comes in stages for many people, and recognizing the level that they're at and meeting them at that level is essential.
Do either of you have someone in your family that has a mental illness?
Both my parents were mentally ill, and my brother and sister have mental illnesses.
How were you able to cope with that? I mean, this is incredible.
I shot heroin for 22 years.
Excuse me. That's enough to make me choke.
I medicated myself.
See.
So I wasn't diagnosed personally until I was 40. So I spent the ages of 15 to 40 self-medicating through severe drug addiction. And then I went to Mayo Clinic. I was very fortunate. I got diagnosed. It put me on lithium, and that was the last time I ever took a drug.
But with your parents, how did you survive? I mean, was your dad capable of working or no working? Or?
I wouldn't change a minute of my. People have this perception that mental illness is people suffer from mental illness. I never saw any suffering with mental illness. It was unusual. I didn't know anything different, so I had no basis of comparison, but mental illness is not always doom and gloom.
Unfortunately.
For many people it is.
You took the words out of my mouth.
And unfortunately that has contributed to the devastating stigma of it.
And for that, innocent people, I mean, human beings, we have to realize, this word is human beings, are really assaulted by the stigma, and it's horrific.
So, and it affects me personally. I've been diagnosed as a person with mental illness for the past close to 30 years, and you know, I've made quite a few accomplishments in my life.
I would imagine you have, absolutely. From
for people to assume that people with or that are managing mental illness, it's difficult. Sure, it's difficult.
That's it. Well, we have some pictures now. You want to? We're going to put this on now.
Part of the advocacy that we do puts us out in the community. This particular picture, we partook in
the parade.
The parade, yep.
And when was that?
The Gurney Days Parade this summer.
Oh, this past summer. That's 2014 on this.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
This is our board. We have monthly meetings at Greg's house. It's Metanoia House, which is a drug rehab house, and he has an awesome kitchen.
I'm looking at it.
I
It's
know.
pretty terrific. Wow.
So those are some of our board members.
Some of them.
Some of them, yeah. There's about 14, 15 board members.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
And everybody participates.
Yeah.
You don't have anybody saying, "Oh, I don't feel I don't want to go tonight," or I'm doing
No, it's
something
kind of
else.
the opposite. I think people want to do too much.
Really?
Yeah.
Ah,
We have
really?
some very good people on our board.
This is very
Very
nice.
committed.
So you do the consumer to consumer. Mary, do you do
I do family to family as
Family
well
to
with
family?
Greg. And
how many? I mean, when you say a family to family, are you talking 4 or 6 members of one family coming in?
It's a national program. So at the same time, these classes, there's only 7 that we have actively in Lake County, but it's every county throughout the country has the same program going on at the same time, teaching the same
But
skills.
how do you relate to them? You say family to family.
so I am a family member of someone with mental illness. My aunt had bipolar, and she suffered 50 years with it. It was a family secret, didn't know.
Family secret.
So we had no idea what was going on. So the family to family class, it's taught by family members, 2 other members of families.
Who are unaware. Who are unaware of what's going on? I mean, is
well,
that it?
yeah,
Because if they knew what you knew, you wouldn't have to hold the class.
exactly. But it's evidence-based. So SAMHSA, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Association, has looked at the class, and it's evidence-based, which means it works. So it holds a lot of credibility in working and getting the education, families educated.
Now, when you said your aunt suffered with this for 50 years and it was a family secret, that's what they used to do. I mean,
Right.
And we don't want that to happen. We want to bring these people out to the sunlight so that they can get help, mental health help, because it's a waste of a life. They're a human being. I want to give everybody opportunity. So how did that finally come about? Was there an episode that transpired?
Oh, culturally, I think that's a big problem, and we're trying to deal with it effectively. We just started we have starting a Spanish family to family, because each family, depending upon their culture, is going to handle the situation differently.
Sure.
Some people are going to say it's family business and it stays within the family, and they're never going to go outside to try and get help. And other people, it's up to the one person in the family how the situation is dealt with. So there's a lot of diversity that's got to be involved in it, in dealing with families.
Well, I know Hispanic families feel very ashamed.
Yes.
And they don't want to bring anything forward. So that's their culture. This is what we deal with
there's
every day with whatever.
There's a lot of religious, cultural customs that make it even more difficult.
Then, Mary, how was it
the caretaker, my other aunt,
Yes.
who was taking care of her, they were in Texas, they lived there, and she died. So we went down for the funeral, and we had no idea. So we, you know, at the funeral, she had family, friends, support. We talked to her pastor. Nobody said anything really. We left her lists of phone numbers in various places, and we flew home. She said she was fine. She had support systems, but she really didn't. We were calling. My mother was calling probably 4 or 5 times a week, and then we had people checking on her, and then she ran out of her lithium. And wound up in a mental health hospital down there. And then that's, you know, pretty much how it progressed. So
The excuse me, the notification of her illness was a surprise to you?
it was a surprise. We really didn't know what she had until after she died.
Who came forward with that information?
Well, we had to hire a lawyer. It was a lot of legal things that went on. The caretaker she was an elderly woman whose husband worked and had money, and someone stepped up, said that they would help, and we said okay, thinking that, you know, everything was all right, and she ended up stealing her money. So, you know, it was elder abuse too, financial
elder abuse, yeah.
Exploitation.
Taking advantage not only of a senior citizen,
right,
but someone with a disability on top of it.
Exactly.
Holy moly.
Yeah, and then, you know, she lived in 18 hours away.
Oh my.
We had no idea.
Oh my, oh my.
So
you both come from experience, life experience. You can't learn this stuff, Greg, from a book.
Right.
No textbook on this earth can
that's-
teach you that.
No.
And that's how we refer to it, as lived experience.
It's a life-giving, living experience
Right.
that you don't forget. And someone could tell you about it, and you can empathize with them, but unless you are unfortunately touched by this illness, this disease, you have no idea, no idea at all, excuse me, what this brings, because you have to live your life and you have to live everybody else's life to be able to survive just an everyday 9 to 5 work day, or if you can work, if they are able to work, or you have to take off of work and stay home and watch them, or you don't know where to get help for them. So,
And one of the things we establish early on in the course is what the goal for the loved one is. Do they want to set up a healthy independence, or have them be totally independent? Healthy dependence, I'm sorry,
Dependent
or be totally
yeah,
independent.
very hard, very difficult.
It is
very difficult. And you know, you lived it with a father, a mother, and 2 siblings, and you were a sibling.
Yes.
Of that situation, and I am the parent of a 42-year-old ill person, and then you have to explain to 6 other children what happened with this one. Where is she? What happened? Everybody becomes part of your life cycle, and you have no privacy. They're all involved.
And
you know.
NAMI helps in coping with many of those things. We're there for people that have questions.
We're there. Yeah, we surely are. We surely are. I am one of the co-founders, so I know from whence you speak.
yeah,
And
awesome.
yeah, thanks. One of my gold stars at the top of the list is that I am one of the co-sponsors, co-founder of, it used to be NAMI, the Alliance of the Mentally Ill.
Oh.
And Vi Orr and I we were at the Lutheran General Hospital. We went to Ravenswood Hospital. We were on the circuit giving, parent to parent, family to family, taking care of the consumers. We did everything. You get a little tired out.
Yeah, you do.
And try to raise a family, and you've got one that's already ill, and
It's hard.
the state steps in and was ridiculous. This is a sick child. Why are they assaulting the parent when the parent is just trying to care for their child? That's what we need to take care of. And if we have any pull here in Lake County, I think we should find out what the governor is going to do about that, and not to assault the family or assault the parents that we're bad. It's an illness. If someone's born with cancer, you don't assault the parents because the child has cancer.
Right.
I mean, nobody wants their child to be ill.
It's a no-fault illness.
So we, and the best way that we can speak, not only financially, is if you're a voter, if you're registered to vote, put your vote where your mouth is, and that's where it stays. And don't let anyone intimidate you. Intimidation doesn't go very far with me. I hold my ground. I stand my ground. And they can say and do whatever they want. They throw me in jail. I mean, I went through the gamut because a state's attorney up here wanted to become a judge. And she thought that she could destroy us by taking my child from the school and placing her in 54 placements. 54 placements.
I'm sorry to hear that.
54. She never even knew us. Like I say, she was 7 years old at the time, and she's never been back home since. We're in the same home, and she's 42 years old. So it's been devastating, to say the least. And no child can make up for that child. I mean, it's very difficult, very, very difficult.
And now for people that are struggling or don't know what to do, the least we can offer them is the crisis line for Lake County, which is 377-8080, is it?
8081, I believe.
8081.
What is that number again, Liz?
847-377-80, I think it's 8080.
80.
8080 or
8081.
8081? Well, whatever one.
It's one of the two.
377-8000.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
the general,
Yeah.
the general number.
We're almost finished with the first half already.
Okay.
So we're going to go on to the second half of the program, and we're going to be, given wisdom and whatever pearls pop out of John and Fred's mouth. Are you guys ready to pop on here? Not yet. Just wait a second. We're almost ready. But so, do we have any more pictures that we need to show first half? Nothing. Any parting words that you'd like to make a comment on? People to reach you or something?
Mention,
Well, we are doing
a party.
a fundraiser.
Fundraiser.
April 4th, right?
April 4th at the Abbey. So please join us. It's from 6 to 1 in the morning.
It's the alley.
The alley, I'm sorry. That's right.
alley.
The
If they go to the Abbey,
the alley in Highland.
they're going to say,
Highwood.
boy, we have a party up here, and maybe a wedding, or maybe crashing a wedding or something,
Right.
But we're going to have you back after
Okay.
the fundraiser
Wonderful.
for information on who showed up and where all this is going to go to, and what the fundraiser has accomplished for you. And I hope you have a great showing. I really hope you have a marvelous showing.
Thank you
Well,
very
thank
much.
you.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good. Okay, please stay tuned.
All right.
we've returned. That was quick. These people are very prepared. We have John Fallon to my direct left, and to John's direct left, we have Fred Henry. Also, board members, or directors, I don't know how you're called, directors or board
members.
Board members of NAMI for Lake County. And do we have any pictures for these gentlemen? Are yeah, let's try with the pictures first so that we can get into conversation in a little bit. Again, that's the banner for 2014.
We'd really like people to see the website there.
Okay.
And to know, for me, I'm the public policy person for the NAMI of Lake County, and I really think it's important to look at the budget and what the consequences are and how things are going to be. And so, you know, I felt it was important to start with that. And it's important that people involved in mental health get to know. And so there's one of our...
Who are these gentlemen?
Well, that's one of our board members, and he's got his arm around Governor Quinn. He was going to be opening in Lake County.
Holy cow,
they're
that's
going to be
Pat
expanding
Quinn.
things. Yes.
I didn't even recognize him.
Yes, that's Pat Quinn on the right, and that would be Senator Terry Link, who's the senator,
that's right.
And he's third in leadership. And so we never miss an opportunity at NAMI of Lake County to spread the word that mental health services are really important.
Okay, okay. So your position is social...
I work in, I do a lot of lecturing about trying to create permanent supportive housing and better housing for people with disabilities, but I'm also the treasurer. And
oh, you're the good guy to know.
I have the checkbook.
You are the good guy to know. Yes, absolutely.
Actually, I have the checkbook with me to get some more signatures.
You are the good guy to know. That's just, we have the president and the treasurer.
That's right.
Everybody else, you're okay, but you're not as good as these guys. This guy handles the money.
But I'm also on the NAMI of Illinois board because all of the Illinois chapters are under the state program and the national program, and so we work to generate and have people go to the NAMI.org website if you're outside of Lake County and in Cook County, to go there, and as many people as we can, because it's absolutely critical that we have more membership. You know, mental illness is not is an important constituency, but it's not a popular constituency sometimes.
No, not popular at all.
It's hard to sort of explain it. There are so many misconceptions, and it's absolutely really important. And,
Fred, I heard you speaking a little bit in the green room about a family member. You have a family member that has a disability?
Yes, I do. A cousin of mine has lived with mental illness for most of his life, since being first diagnosed and having symptoms of schizophrenia. His first year in medical school. Bright guy,
Wow.
you know, lovable character. You know, seemed like everything going for him, and you know, sadly, that's really not an at all uncommon situation. The prevalence of schizophrenia is between 2 and 3 million Americans. 1% of the population with it. There's a lot of stigma and a lot of it's as Jan suggested, it's a bit of a hidden diseases, or it's not really as well recognized as other kind of physical ailments.
And that was, how long ago was he first diagnosed?
Well, he's probably in his mid-40s or so now. So a couple decades ago, I got attracted to serving and trying to help out with NAMI last year after a very unfortunate event with him in the spring. One day he went to this police department, as you suggested before, Bev. A lot of times with people living with mental illnesses on medications, they start feeling better.
And then they don't want to take it.
They don't take the
That's
medications
it.
because of
That's
the
it.
side
They say,
effects.
Yep.
This is what we suspect was going on with my cousin. He went to the police station in the morning, asked them to kill himself,
Oh
he
my.
couldn't stand the pain that he was living with any longer. And We learned later that he came to have some religious beliefs that committing suicide, which he had attempted before. Was a mortal sin, and was something not to do. So he sort of thought the police could help him out. Sort of, they didn't oblige him, but
you know, fortunately for him, they got or he got their attention. Did he receive help with that?
Well, so later that day, he kind of had a new idea about how to ask the question again.
They didn't let him out.
Well, they sent him away from the police station in the morning. I don't know for sure if he went to some medical treatment or if he just went back to his apartment or whatever, but he came back to the police station later that day with a small steak knife from his home and approached the policeman, making sort of threatening kind of moves, and this time they shot him.
They shot him dead?
No, he lived, actually. He was shot in the gut, basically, survived. The police were investigated in the shooting. They were cleared. He was charged with two counts of assault with a deadly weapon.
Is this recent?
Well, it's last year. I mean,
And this was in Lake County?
No, this was not in Lake County. This was on the East Coast. Oh. But I don't think this is really all that uncommon. I mean, it's an awful and striking situation, but it's.
Can you not see how tortured he is? That he was looking for help, didn't know where to go, but knew that the police. He went to a form of service, and first responders are police, firemen, physicians, hospitals. He went there because he felt they would be able to help him. It's a shame he didn't go to a hospital and, go in through the ER and say he was having problems. The police are law enforcement, and they have deadly weapons. It's a deadly weapon situation. And it's pathetic that they had to, fire at him. Could they not have tased him? Could they not have chosen another way instead of, striking blood?
You'd think so. I mean, it's easy for me to think so as well. I mean, John knows a lot more about the mental health system and availability of services that I do. That
I'm just devastated.
One of the things that might have helped in this situation was crisis intervention training, which is something that's implemented in several police forces. And in Lake County, just last week, our county sheriff spoke with the Lake County Board, and opined that this is training that's really needed throughout our county with our police forces all over to deal with situations somewhat extreme like this one, and not so extreme, where people with mental illnesses are in trouble. They're acting erratically or whatever, and maybe seemingly in looking like they're doing criminal behavior, but really they're living with mental illnesses and having a difficult time coping.
We look at the policy to that.
Wait, just one second, guys. I want to just let this information out. Is that because I was going to ask you, is there a model, that we can follow? However, California. Whatever you want to say about California, but they instituted a situation that if they found anyone being out of sorts in that fashion, excuse me, because they were finding people walking on the freeway, not to arrest them and take them to jail. They broke the law. Of course, they broke the law, but they're not in their right mind to understand what the law is. They are going where the traffic goes, and they found this to be the best way to go. I sat in this huge room with hundreds of people, and one of the sheriff's police from California stood up and he said, listen, he said, we have trained our people, our personnel, and that we don't take them to jail because the jail is for a criminal element. These people don't commit a crime. They are looking and seeking help. He said, and you can see by their attitude or however they're approaching you that they are in need of medical attention, psychiatric medical attention. He said, so California, I'm not sure whether it was Sacramento or he spoke for the state, but he said, we now pick these people up when we see them on the street. Some just walk out of their homes and just walk and walk and walk. And some cause difficulty in traffic, as you know, as I mentioned, walking or standing in the middle of the street. They become, you know, oblivious to what's happening, the lights changing on the, you know, stop and go lights or whatever. And they take them to the nearest hospital, where they are then evaluated. They don't put them in jail, do a mug shot of them. They're suffering from an illness. This is a disability. It's not a law breaking. It's you have to abide by the law. And the police then said, we will abide by the law and help them. So what has happened?
So it's interesting you talk about California.
Yes.
So they kind of got religion on this because of how much money they were spending in the prison system. And the 3 strikes law that they created out there caused the prison population to skyrocket way past Texas after many years. And so the fiscal outcome was terrible. They had 176,000, I think was the number. I don't have the exact number of people. So they had more people in prison than any other prison. And so then they started to pay the local jail to keep them instead. And San Francisco is filled with lots of people that are on the street because even though they took them to the hospital, they didn't actually do that. And in fact, California got into a lot of trouble because they found people walking around the street in hospital booties who had been discharged from the hospital street. And that's what happens. People with mental illness. And those are cuts. And so I'm really concerned. So we know what works. I started and worked in a program for thresholds that took people out of the jail. And they were really expensive people. And focusing on those really expensive people is what we need to do. And we need not to give them short-term housing. We need to give them long-term housing. We need to make it affordable to people on Social Security or SSI, which is around $700. And there's no place in the country you can live for $700. And we're like, oh, well, you need a payee to manage your money. There isn't that much money to manage. With those long-term, we can take people like Richard, who's a person I've written quite a bit about, who spent 11 of 20 years in the hospital and had 134 arrests. And you take someone like that and you help them get a place to stay, and you come by and help them take their medication. Well, they won't take their medication. They will take their medication. They just can't afford to pay for it. They don't remember to take it. They don't remember this. And so that's what happens to someone who's then cycling in and out of the jail system. And we have an opportunity now with the Affordable Care Act to begin to do that. The question is, will we? And in the state of Illinois, NAMI rated us, and we got a D this year. That's moving up. And the only reason we moved up was because we're being sued so many times because of how many institutions we have of nursing homes, and our jail population doubled for persons with mental illness. Cook County Jail is the 3rd largest mental health center in the country behind LA and New York.
It's incredible because...
Well, and there used to be 1,000 people with severe mental illness. Now there's 2,000, even though the jail population has gone down by 1,000.
Sheriff Dart is, he's running really the largest mental health because we had Mandy on here, and Mandy's husband has schizophrenia.
It's by far the largest, and it used to be fairly consistent at 1,000 people with severe mental illness until a couple years ago when we made cuts. We cut the mental health system, and we thought we would save money. But guess what happened? The police complained that there were too many people on the street with mental health difficulties. And eventually, even though they got trained, because Chicago's an epicenter of CIT training, so are the surrounding suburbs. Believe it or not, we have good training. But there's only so much you can do, because the idea is you can then take the person from the corner that's having difficulties and get them in the hospital. But if you can't get them in the hospital, eventually they come to the attention, they end up in the jail. It takes about 2 or 3 years before they end up in prison. So what do we have? So I think we have a graphic. I think this is the only graphic we have.
Can we see that graphic?
With the chart. We don't have that graphic, this one? Okay. Basically, you have the graphic, I have the graphic.
Okay.
We cut mental health by 113 million, and 35,000 extra people with mental illness went through the emergency rooms. So the amount of money we cut, we paid in healthcare dollars. And so if we don't, we can shift things. We're going to try and lower the number of people in prison, but then we're going to cut Medicaid. Well, I hope that we'll be able to lower the number of people in prison before, so if you see there was a spike in the number of people with mental health, and it may be difficult for people to see that, but suddenly we needed to see lots more people. So if you want to see this graphic and you want more information about it, you can contact me, and my email at work is john.fallon@csh.org, or you can contact Heather O'Donnell in Thresholds, which is Illinois' largest private mental health center, and talk with her. She's a public policy person. They've created great materials. It's going to cost taxpayers more. In the short run, it will cost us more in city taxes, then county taxes if they go to the jail, and then in prison. And these are expensive people who could be housed for much less. So I'm going to steal a graphic that we have over here, so I just have it to refer.
Okay.
It costs us a ton of money to have people in nursing homes from state dollars, and it would cost a lot less to have them in the community. And we have lawsuits, so we're also being sued for not having those people. It's frustrating to me. It costs more to have people in jail than to be served. It would save us money in that area. Homelessness is another area. And this is all not because a person has mental illness, but because they have untreated mental health and people don't understand. And they, unlike some disabilities, have oftentimes, in the throes and difficulties they had, lost family members because family members just can't manage them and there isn't the help. So NAMI's job is to help people know. NAMI's job is to explain what the services are. NAMI is to explain to families. NAMI is to help consumers understand mental health and what the impact is, and to help voters. And so that's what we hope to do. And if we can get more members in Lake County, we'll build it there. In Cook County, in the Cook County North Suburban, we'll do it. Greater Chicago, Springfield, Champaign, throughout the state, throughout the country. That's our goal.
Now I have to bring this up because this is no, it's not bad. But it's something to really, because first of all, the families are depleted with energy and finances to care for these other family members who are mentally ill. They're depleted. You cannot get up another morning and have to go through whatever they're doing that's, in their strange way that they do it, although they are not seeing that it's strange, but it's a problem.
All NAMI chapters are fighting this because one of the things that happens is in order for someone to get services if they can't afford it, because there's limits for health care, even if you have health care, we don't treat. There is mental health parity, which means treating mental illness like you would any other illness, but we don't have it. And it's not yet really in place like it should be. And our state has fairly consistently had a practice where if you have someone like your daughter,
My daughter.
Yeah, you have to give up her to the state.
That's what they told me to do. And I said, Why
Well, we're
would
trying
I
to
do
change that.
That's
If
terrible.
If people feel strongly about that, they
Oh,
should again.
I'll go before any place. You put
I-
me on and I'll tell them what we had to live through, because that's what a psychologist said. The only way, Mrs. Cooper, that we can help you and your child and your family is if you sign her away. I said, how can I sign her away? Well, that's the only way the state can come in and provide for her.
Well, there's a bill now to change that, so people
what-
don't have to give. They don't have to. Sarah Feigenholz is reintroduced it. There are parts of it. It's very slow to be implemented, but they're going to take away the rule that causes parents to have to
what
give
a
up their
heartbreak.
children.
What a
But right
heartbreak.
now, there's also something called Illinois Care Grants, and even though it's been authorized by the legislation, the new administration has a chance to do services, but guess what? They're going to cut that program. There's $87.9
Well,
million
everybody should know
worth
if
of
they
mental
want to
health.
do a cut, that this governor is going to only be a one-termer. Your voice and your vote is what will make it move. And if they know that your voice says you need to do it and people will back you, then when it comes time to go to the ballot box and vote, then he can get your vote. If he doesn't do it, I'll give you a new broom, and you know what the saying is with a new broom? It sweeps clean. Get them out. I'm tired of the corruption. They destroyed my family. They destroyed my daughter's life. They put her in 54 placements. And another situation that we have to speak about, you're the guy with the bucks, is the fact that they put these people that have no idea what's going on in their life, and they are trusting you to do the right thing. They put them in the nursing homes where they don't belong, because the senior citizens, and I can tell you about that, we've been in court regarding my mother and the corruption in the probate court in Cook County, what went on. They put them in nursing homes that they don't belong in, John. They belong in mental health facilities, and to give them the ability to get well, not perpetuate their illness. And the senior citizens are terrified of these young people, and they're young. We're not talking about people 80 years old coming. We're talking about people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s who are in nursing homes because they don't find any place else to base them or place them. And these nursing homes are making a fortune, billions with a B dollars.
Did you know who pays for that?
We do.
Yeah, but do you know who the we is? The state of it. So in 1964,
Yeah.
when the United States created the Medicaid program, they said we're not going to pay for large groups of people with disabilities together. And so they said if you have more than 17 people together, we're not going to pay for it. So the state of Illinois continues to fund those large nursing homes on their own dollars, out of general revenue. So if you want to know where to save money, it is cutting those kinds of nursing homes, although we have to create alternatives first. You can't just cut them. So right now the SMRF budget, the specialized mental health rehab facilities, are slated to be cut. Now there's a part of me that could be happy about that, except that there isn't more housing or another alternatives for it. It will be, and it's going to be able to, it's needing to help cities realize that people with mental health, if the housing's managed well, which means making sure that the rent is affordable and the building gets enough money. That's what a subsidy does. It makes the difference between, because if you house people that don't make much money for a long period of time, the housing gets bad. If you give them a subsidy so they can live there and then you provide the services, that's what supportive housing is, you will save money. And I can tell you hundreds of places we have in the state of Illinois that are just beautiful housing that people are like, oh, I'd be afraid if we were.
No,
you won't
they
be afraid.
need-
That's
they need
the housing they
housing.
need. The
Yes.
nursing homes people think are secure, they're not.
They're not secure, absolutely not. The senior citizens that are disabled, that are bedridden, are screeching, terrified, whatever. I can tell you, I saw them with my own eyes in there. And the fact that they come and go out of the doors, there's no way to control them. When the senior citizens are put in bed, they're not getting out. But it's the ones that suffer from the mental disability that are coming in and out of exits that are only supposed to be used in place of emergencies for fires to take people out of. And that was the one in Chicago, the Lakeview. That was terrible, horrific. A lady who had a leg that was amputated, and she couldn't get out of bed, and here she was being assaulted by someone with a mental disability, and the staff said they can't do anything about it because they are being paid to be in there like she's being paid, and they can't do anything about it. That's wrong, John. You better get down on Rauner's neck and make a couple of statements. I don't care how
I'm happy to meet with the new governor, as I met with the old governor and anyone else about this, and it's something that I hope. I'm not paid as a lobbyist or anything else, but I can tell you from the work that I did, absolutely. And maybe on another show or something, we can talk about what's called the Olmsted Supreme Court decision and what the various lawsuits are that are against Illinois. But in Illinois, there are 20,000 people right now who are amongst the class of people in 3 separate lawsuits that are going to be provided in regular housing because they don't belong in institutions. People with developmental disabilities, people in nursing homes, and people with mental illness in these large institutes for mental disease.
This is true.
And right now, a number of our board members know and are a part of the, who they know people and we provide services for, and some are actually, we can give you 10, 15 people who are currently living in the community who hated their nursing home. I can, I can send 2 surveys that we did of people who have affordable housing who love their housing. They're managing their apartment and they're doing well, and we're not paying $30,000 a year to have really bad care, and that's without including all of the medical stuff. And so it's a huge problem, and we need to move to having people with mental health difficulties in the community with us, and people need to see that they're not what's depicted in movies, and that people can do excellently. And we need to not have people hurt.
Well, this is true. Protection, safety is first and foremost. These physicians, to do no harm, they're supposed to really do no harm. But as long as they're getting paid, I'm tired of the corruption. I've had it. I can't. That's why these programs I do, because innocent people are suffering. Those suffer with the mental illness that don't know where to go or what to do. And like your cousin, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that he had to suffer such a terrible situation.
I'd like to just add a little bit of a post note on that, Bev, because actually he's lucky in some ways, and I spoke with him just yesterday, in fact, and he's really doing well. And part of why he's doing well is that he's in the state of Vermont, and Vermont has above average mental health care support. He was able to get a caseworker who had enough resources to have the charges against him dropped, have him to find a good new home where he's receiving good care, and he's doing really well. After last year was a really bad year, but he's very fortunate.
I was just going to ask you if there was a follow-up on that. That's great.
Yeah, I don't know if he would have had the same kind of support if that had happened in Illinois.
No, I will tell you not. I've dealt with this for 42 years, so that's the music. What can I say? We're going to have to do a part 2 of this. Please come back after your fundraiser. We want to know what's going on. We'd like to absolutely have you back on the program. So. Before they run the credits across everything. I'd like to thank you for allowing us your home, your place of business, and to thank John Fallon, the money guy over here, the treasurer. We like him, and we like
very frugal money guy.
We like Fred Henry as well, and Mary Jupe and Gregory Fields. Wonderful. We're going to have them back on in April. Talk about the fundraiser. So, thank you for watching. Have a pleasant evening. A very safe week. Let's see, happy St. Patrick's Day. That's Tuesday. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Good evening.